here's 50,000, 20,000, sometimes 100,000. You guys spend on whatever you want. Just, here's the video camera, I'm your Al-Qaeda leader. Oh yeah, it always gets worse. The FBI or the Royal Mounted Police or MI6 or MI5, it's always on in the news in the bottom paragraph that, oh, by the way, the leader of all these groups is always a government agent. They're there with these people giving them wads of cash. These young kids are freaking out. Man, I only got $20,000 in my pocket. Well, dress in camo for me. Here, let's videotape it. I'm your leader. Now swear allegiance to Al-Qaeda. And these kids and homeless people and others, they just round up whoever they can. Literally, folks, whenever they bust people, you watch them, when they're in the lineup, they're like, I mean, it's horrible. Yes, when we go out downtown LA and these poor people that need help, we can take them out right now and have them ready to attack Pluto. Or Timbuktu. The point is, and they do this, and it all comes out. And then we have Florida this week. Even more ridiculous. But go back to Canada for a minute. So the Royal Mounted Police deliver, they keep trying for weeks, it's now come out, to get them to go buy the ammonium nitrate, but they won't do it, it's just all talk. So they deliver the ammonium nitrate to them. And they come out and take receipt of it, and they're busted. Fertilizer, folks. I actually told my wife at our garden, no fertilizer. From a little bag of Miracle Grow. So this is happening. This is real. And we see Miami, was it 20 plus people now, down in Florida, and they're saying, it's the same story, even the media has admit, well, the FBI is not saying they were a real threat, they were actually Christians, they weren't Muslims, and the FBI actually recruited 2 of them and gave $50,000 and got them to get a bunch of other 17, 18-year-old kids, and the government told them to dress up in camo and bottom boots and try to get them to attack something, and told them, now you get 50,000 more if you go videotape the FBI building here. I mean, how, but again, the media when it reports it just says they caught terrorists that planned to blow up the Sears Tower. Oh my gosh, we're all doomed, and they cut, so they goes into, well, it's alleged, and they actually delivered it all to them. And this is about creating fear. This is about creating a climate of, oh, we're in danger, see, Iran is a threat. Oh, there really are terrorists creeping around everywhere. And the scary thing is we saw similar things to this right before 9/11. This is the preparatory phase where, see, 9/11, we didn't stop it. We stopped lots of people, and we weren't able to stop the attack that came in late 2006, early 2007. We weren't able to stop it. We stopped 5 of the threats, we stopped 6 of the threats, but we didn't stop that suitcase nuke going off. But don't worry, we'll take all your freedoms down and keep you safe. And never mind those pension funds we're taking this. I mean, seriously. So we are on the cusp of all of this happening right now. And it is so important, I'll talk about strategies to expose this later. It is so important to now really energize, really warn people, that sense of urgency. And it's not hard. The public knows something's wrong, they know they've been lied to, they know bad things are happening. People at a gut level sense what's going on, they picked up a lot of it themselves, even mainstream media, alternative media. Now it's very fertile ground. Now is the season for planting in the minds of men and women. Now is the time to set bushfires in the minds of men and women that can rage and burn. And we can defeat these people. But I've analyzed it, I've looked at it, and I believe I'm right. 90+% chance that if they carry out another catastrophic event, that's the beginning of the end. And I know that a lot of the elite strategists and experts they have in their think tanks are actually telling them that. We've even seen some of the reports that this isn't going to work. This isn't going to work. And it was actually proposed in a Republican memo to just have some staged events where they save us from terror. So the good news is this could be a preparatory phase for a bigger attack, but the good news is it could be a preparatory phase. Instead of actually staging another attack, they're just going to save us every week. and it's sad for those they frame up and take to prison, but it's better than them setting off an A-bomb in downtown Chicago. And no one will pay attention when it's the Sears Tower or their Silver Sea just happened to buy it. So you got to have an owner that will work with you when this type of stuff happens. There's a lot of different facets to 9/11, and a lot of them have been discussed here. They're going to be discussed later tonight by Jimmy Walter and Stephen Jones, Professor Jones with some amazing information on thermite cutting charges in the buildings. But just a few of the issues, and one of the people that asked me a question earlier raised this. 9/11 hijackers trained at U.S. bases. And so many times people ask me about 9/11. What about this, Ellis? What about that? They want to debate me. And I'll do it on talk radio, I'll do it on my own show or interviews, but a lot of I just go, look, if you want to know the truth, go research it for yourself. Because it's so proven, it's so out there, it's almost like I don't even want to get into it anymore just with the man on the street, because really this is something that's so important. The questions have already been raised. They should go look into it. They should go check it out for themselves. And it's really hard to do justice to 9/11. It's easy to prove it's an inside job. The problem is, where do you stop? I want to go over all the evidence, and that would take weeks. Literally, I mean, there's so many things. Number one, the official story is a totally manufactured, top to bottom fraud. None of it's true. It's all comic book style lies. It's all disprovable. It's all a wet paper bag. It's almost a joke to even respond to it, but we have, millions of us, have analyzed it down to the smallest detail. When you're talking around the street, and you're just like, well, prove, Alex, prove to me 9/11's an inside job. And I'm like, my God, prove to you the sun came up this morning? Prove to you that ice cold water after you run a few miles tastes good? I mean, I don't know how I'm supposed to, prove to you that jumping off a 20-story building on your head isn't fun? I mean, prove to me oxygen's good, Mr. Jones. Hey man, just go research it for yourself. I mean, it just, because you can't do justice to it. I just bring up 1 or 2 points on 9/11, even on my own radio show. I either have a 9/11 show one day or I don't like to cover it. And I cover it almost every week, because you need to see the full picture, the history, past events, 9/11, how they did it, why they did it, the motive. You need to look at all of that full spectrum of data to really get a grasp on it. And then when you just start looking at the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, it's in the thousands of points now, it is so overwhelming. It is incontrovertible. But a few of the points that really don't get focused on enough, in my humble opinion, is 9/11 hijackers trained at U.S. bases. Now these guys weren't just trained at Pensacola Naval Air Station in the covert flight training operation. That's MSNBC, Pensacola News Journal, and interviewed members of Congress here locally and local police chief in Pensacola, and it was all in the news at the time, but it was forgotten later. It's not just, it's not just, I'm pretty tired of it. It's not just that. I've interviewed 2 of the embassy heads, Canada, up there in Ottawa, and then of course the capital of Saudi Arabia, Riyadh. And I interviewed them just a few months after 9/11, they were mad. They're going, listen, a year ago we were ordered to let these guys back in. They were flagged as terrorists. But we were ordered to let them back in, and as the embassy heads, they said, no, you can't do that. So the CIA called up, and the National Security Agency called up, and they said, listen, these guys are anti-terrorist U.S. government agents. They're terrorists only as their cover. Let them back into the U.S. I mean, I've interviewed the embassy heads. It's not just they trained at bases. All of this. And then, about a month after 9/11, the dean of the Defense Language School, the head of the Defense Language School, a colonel, headline was in the San Jose Mercury News, and it also got picked up by the AP. Head of the Defense Language School says Bush made 9/11 happen. And you read the quotes, and it's in there that, yeah, I was forced to train some of the supposed hijackers and high-level spy training. This is an elite military school. So we've got being let in, the embassy has been told their agents have been trained at military bases. The head of the Defense Language School goes public. I call him up. His wife's screaming in the background. No, you've been threatened. Shut up. The phone's hung up. Sir, we've been threatened. I mean, so many firefighters I've talked to that happened to too. Listen, Mr. Caccioli, I'd like to have you on a Southern People magazine saying bombs are going off. Listen, we've been threatened. Listen, Mr. Jones, I'd love to be able to talk to you. Yeah. You hear the wife in the background. It's happened over and over. These are threatening people's wives, and they didn't tell them to shut up. But again, you're not safe doing that, folks. You've got to just step up, step out. That's the way to handle it. And they'll crush some of it. So be it. That's part of being human. It's part of being a man. Standing up, doing the right thing. And so, men are supposed to put ourselves in the way of danger for the women and the children. I mean, really, it's not like some revolutionary idea. The women and children first, those sayings. We have those for a reason. It's our job to fight a threat, stand up against the evil, not rationalize and make excuses to ourselves and lie to ourselves. That leads to slavery. That's actually the dangerous path to take. They can't get us all, folks. They can't stop us all. And so then we have FBI informants living with the supposed hijackers. We have Mossad living down the street, shadowing them. We have the government paying for their cars, credit cards, homes. I think this is pretty simple. That's certain compartments of the CIA, FBI,